Have you ever found yourself in a situation where your emotions completely overwhelm you? Maybe it's the rage of being cut off by another driver, or the anxiety before an important presentation. These moments can leave us feeling overwhelmed, leaving us at the mercy of our emotions. But what if I told you there's a powerful philosophy that can help you regain control? In this video, I share practical Stoic habits that can help you gain control over your emotional responses. Once you master these habits, you'll master your emotions and live a more peaceful life. Are you ready to take the first step towards emotional mastery? Let's find out. 1. Understanding emotions as signals. Have you ever felt like a tiny boat tossed about in a stormy sea of emotions, unsure of where you're headed? Perhaps you've experienced anger so intense it felt uncontrollable, or sadness so profound it seemed inescapable. Emotions, whether positive or negative, hold immense power over our thoughts and actions. But what if, instead of viewing emotions as adversaries to be suppressed, we saw them as messengers bearing vital information? Could this perspective transform our lives? Stoicism, an ancient philosophical school originating in Greece, offers a unique perspective on emotions. Stoics believe that emotions are not something to be avoided or repressed, but rather valuable signals that provide insights into ourselves and the world around us. Like well-intentioned friends, emotions offer guidance and warnings, but they don't dictate our actions. In today's fast-paced, ever-changing world, emotional regulation is more crucial than ever. We constantly face situations that trigger anger, anxiety, or disappointment. If we allow these emotions to rule us, we risk making poor decisions, hurting others, and losing our inner peace. Imagine you're driving and another car cuts you off, nearly causing an accident. It's natural to feel a surge of anger. However, if you let that anger take over, you might act impulsively, chasing the other car or yelling at the driver. The consequences could be a real collision, or at the very least, a ruined day due to a sour mood. But if you apply Stoic principles, you'll take a different approach. You recognize your anger as a signal that you feel unsafe and violated. You acknowledge the emotion, but you don't let it control you. Instead, you take a deep breath, reminding yourself that you can't control the other driver's actions, but you can control your own response. You choose to remain calm and focus on driving safely. Another example is receiving a job rejection. Feelings of disappointment and self-doubt might tempt you to give up or question your abilities. But if you view these emotions as signals, you can learn from them. Perhaps the rejection indicates a need to improve your interviewing skills, or maybe it suggests you should explore opportunities better suited to your talents. Stoicism doesn't advocate for becoming emotionless or indifferent. On the contrary, it encourages us to face our emotions honestly and openly. But instead of letting emotions dictate our behavior, we learn to observe and analyze them, enabling us to respond in ways that are beneficial and aligned with our values. If we learn to listen to and understand our emotions, we cease to be their slaves. We can respond thoughtfully and proactively, creating a life of greater peace and meaning. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to cultivate resilience and self-improvement. Every emotion, whether positive or negative, carries valuable lessons. Are you ready to explore the power of emotional mastery through Stoicism? Start by observing and analyzing your emotions today. Share your experiences, and let's build a community where we can support each other on this journey towards inner peace. 2. Control your reactions, not emotions. Picture this. You're caught in a heated argument, anger surging through your veins, threatening to erupt in a torrent of harsh words. Or perhaps you're facing a daunting challenge, anxiety tightening its grip, whispering doubts and fears into your mind. The human experience is a tapestry woven with threads of joy, sorrow, anger, and love, emotions that color every aspect of our lives, from the boardroom to the bedroom. The modern world, with its relentless pace and endless demands, can often feel like a breeding ground for emotional turbulence. We are constantly bombarded with triggers that can set off a cascade of feelings, leaving us feeling overwhelmed and reactive. The Stoics, ancient philosophers who navigated their own tumultuous times, recognized this reality over 2 millennia ago. They understood that we cannot always control when or how emotions arise, but we can control how we respond to them. This is not about suppressing or denying our emotions, but rather about cultivating a space between feeling and action, allowing for a more thoughtful and intentional response. Imagine once again that frustrating traffic jam. Instead of succumbing to the rising tide of anger, you take a deep breath, acknowledging the feeling, but refusing to let it control you. You remind yourself that traffic is beyond your control, and getting angry won't change that. You shift your focus to something you can control, like listening to a podcast or planning your meeting agenda. This is the essence of Stoic emotional regulation. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This doesn't mean we should become emotionless robots. Emotions provide valuable information about ourselves and the world around us. However, the Stoics believed that we should not be slaves to our emotions, reacting impulsively and letting them dictate our actions. Instead, we should strive for a state of apatheia, often translated as equanimity or inner peace. This doesn't mean the absence of emotions, but rather a state of emotional balance and resilience, where we are not easily swayed by external events. Cultivating this Stoic approach to emotional regulation in our daily lives begins with awareness. Pay attention to your emotional triggers and how you typically react to them. Notice the physical sensations that accompany different emotions, such as a racing heart or clenched fists. The more you understand your emotional patterns, the better equipped you'll be to manage them. Next, practice mindfulness. When you feel a strong emotion arising, pause and observe it without judgment. Notice the thoughts and beliefs that are fueling the emotion. Are they rational? Are they helpful? By creating this space between feeling and action, you give yourself the opportunity to choose a more constructive response. Ultimately, the Stoic path is not one of emotional suppression, but of transformation. Embrace the full spectrum of human experience, but don't let your emotions control you. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The same can be said for any emotion. By pausing, reflecting, and choosing our reactions wisely, we can navigate life's challenges with greater equanimity and inner peace. 3. Recognizing and understanding. Triggers. We've all experienced it. A seemingly insignificant event triggers an unexpectedly intense emotional response. Why does this happen? It's because we all carry emotional baggage, past hurts, fears, and painful memories that can unexpectedly surface and influence our actions. The modern world is a relentless whirlwind of stimuli, constantly bombarding us with potential triggers for stress, disappointment, and anger. It's no wonder we often find ourselves grappling with intense emotions. But what if there was a way to foresee and manage these emotional waves? In Stoic philosophy, this ability comes from recognizing and understanding your emotional triggers, a process known as prososche, or mindful attention. It involves observing our inner world with meticulous, non-judgmental awareness, allowing us to identify the earliest warning signs of emotional storms. Consider the example of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and renowned Stoic philosopher. In his Meditations, he writes about recognizing his own triggers. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. By anticipating potentially upsetting situations, Marcus Aurelius mentally prepared himself to face them calmly, unfazed by negative emotions. We too can apply this principle in our daily lives. Think back to a time when you snapped at a loved one or colleague for a seemingly trivial reason. Was there an event or comment that touched a deep-seated pain or fear within you? Perhaps it was a feeling of being disrespected, abandoned, or unappreciated. Recognizing these triggers is like turning on a light in a dark room, illuminating the true cause behind your reactions. The process of recognizing and understanding your triggers requires patience and introspection. Do you notice recurring patterns in your emotional responses? Are there specific situations or people that tend to trigger you? When confronted with these triggers, what emotions and thoughts arise? Observe yourself closely. When you feel emotions welling up, pause and ask, what triggered this emotion in me? What am I feeling and what am I thinking? Keep a journal to record your observations, helping you identify common patterns and triggers. This is a valuable tool for tracking your progress and gaining deeper self-understanding. Once you've identified your emotional buttons, you can proactively manage them more effectively. For instance, if you realize you get stressed by tight deadlines, you can plan, break down tasks, and schedule relaxation time to reduce pressure. Ultimately, recognizing and understanding your emotional triggers is the first step towards mastering your emotions. When you know your buttons, you can respond with greater composure and rationality, preventing fleeting emotions from dictating your behavior. This fosters inner peace and freedom, enabling you to build healthier relationships and live a more fulfilling life. Share in the comments below an emotional trigger you've recently discovered. What will you do to face it more positively? Let's build a community where we support each other on the journey to emotional mastery and a stoic, peaceful, and meaningful life. 4. Change your judgments to change emotions. Life's tapestry is woven with moments that can trigger a cascade of emotions. A casual remark can sting, a minor delay can ignite frustration, and the weight of the world can leave us feeling overwhelmed. We often assume our emotions are automatic reactions dictated by external events. But Stoicism offers a transformative perspective. It's not the events themselves, but our perception of them that truly shapes our emotional landscape. In the whirlwind of modern life, with its relentless demands and constant stimuli, it's no wonder we often feel emotionally reactive. Yet, amidst this chaos, Stoicism offers a beacon of tranquility, reminding us that inner peace is attainable. The ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, believed that our emotions stem not from the events themselves, but from our judgments about those events. By changing our interpretations, we can change our emotional responses. Imagine this. You're preparing for an important presentation. Suddenly, your computer crashes and all your data is lost. Panic, frustration, even anger might surge. But a Stoic would pause, acknowledging the setback without succumbing to despair. They might remind themselves, this is an obstacle, not a catastrophe. I still possess the knowledge and skills to deliver this presentation. This is an opportunity to demonstrate adaptability and resilience. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor-philosopher, famously wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Epictetus echoed this sentiment, stating, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." So how can we integrate this Stoic wisdom into our lives? The next time you encounter a challenging situation, Take a moment to observe your thoughts. Instead of allowing negative emotions to dictate your response, ask yourself, is there another way to interpret this situation? Seek out the potential positives or lessons hidden within the challenge. A mistake at work could be a chance for growth. A relationship ending might open the door to new, healthier connections. As you practice reframing your judgments, you'll discover a profound inner strength. You'll no longer be a victim of circumstance, but the master of your own emotions. Inner peace and freedom will be your reward. The power to shape your emotional reality lies within you. Embrace it. 5. Premeditatio Malorum. Visualizing adversity. In the grand tapestry of life, adversity is an inevitable thread woven into the fabric of our existence. While we cannot always control the challenges that come our way, we can cultivate the mental resilience to navigate them with grace and fortitude. The Stoics, ancient philosophers renowned for their wisdom on living a virtuous life, offered a powerful technique for preparing for life's inevitable setbacks. Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils. At its core, Premeditatio Malorum involves mentally rehearsing potential adversities, visualizing ourselves confronting them with courage and composure. This practice is not about dwelling on negativity or inviting misfortune, but rather about inoculating ourselves against the emotional shock of unforeseen difficulties. By mentally preparing for the worst, we lessen its sting when it arrives, allowing us to respond with clarity and resolve rather than succumbing to fear and despair. In today's fast-paced and often unpredictable world, the relevance of Premeditatio Malorum is more pronounced than ever. We are constantly bombarded with information, inundated with notifications, and exposed to a relentless stream of potential stresses. From economic downturns and natural disasters to personal losses and health challenges, the modern world presents a myriad of potential setbacks that can disrupt our equilibrium. By engaging in Premeditatio Malorum, we equip ourselves with a mental shield, a buffer against the emotional turmoil that often accompanies adversity. Imagine, for instance, the Stoic philosopher Seneca contemplating the potential loss of his wealth. He would visualize himself stripped of his possessions, living a simple life, yet still content and virtuous. This mental exercise allowed him to detach his happiness from external circumstances, ensuring that even if misfortune struck, his inner peace would remain intact. Another example lies in the Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius, who regularly contemplated his own mortality. By visualizing his death, he gained a profound appreciation for the preciousness of life, urging himself to live each day with purpose and gratitude. This practice not only lessened the fear of death, but also imbued his life with a sense of urgency and meaning. The Stoics understood that true strength lies not in the absence of adversity, but in our ability to respond to it with equanimity. Premeditatio Malorum is not about becoming pessimistic or fatalistic, but rather about cultivating a realistic acceptance of life's inherent challenges. By acknowledging the possibility of setbacks, we liberate ourselves from the illusion of control and develop the mental flexibility to adapt to whatever circumstances arise. Incorporating Premeditatio Malorum into your daily life can be as simple as setting aside a few minutes each day to contemplate potential challenges. Visualize yourself facing these difficulties with courage, resilience, and a commitment to upholding your values. Consider the worst-case scenarios, but also focus on the actions you can take to mitigate their impact or navigate them successfully. Remember, the goal is not to become immune to negative emotions, but to develop the inner strength to manage them effectively. By mentally rehearsing adversity, you build a reservoir of emotional resilience, enabling you to respond to life's curveballs with composure and grace. 6. The power of choice in responses. In the intricate dance of life, we are constantly bombarded with stimuli that trigger a cascade of emotions. A harsh word, a traffic jam, a missed opportunity. Each can ignite a visceral reaction, propelling us towards impulsive actions and regrettable words. Yet, the Stoics, those ancient philosophers renowned for their wisdom on navigating life's complexities, offer a profound insight. Between stimulus and response lies a space, and in that space lies our power to choose. This concept, central to Stoic philosophy, underscores the fundamental truth that we are not mere puppets of our emotions. While it is natural to feel anger, sadness, or fear in response to external events, we are not obligated to act on those feelings. We possess the capacity to pause, to reflect, and to choose a response that aligns with our values and goals, rather than succumbing to knee-jerk reactions. In the modern world, where distractions abound and stress levels often run high, the ability to choose our responses is more crucial than ever. Social media feeds, overflowing inboxes, and the constant pressure to perform can create a maelstrom of emotional triggers, threatening to overwhelm our sense of equilibrium. Yet, by cultivating the Stoic practice of pausing before reacting, we reclaim our agency and navigate life's challenges with greater clarity and composure. Consider the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who, despite being born into slavery and enduring physical hardship, found solace in the power of choice. He famously proclaimed, "It is not things that upset us, but our judgments about things." This profound statement encapsulates the essence of Stoic emotional mastery. We are not disturbed by events themselves, but by the meaning we assign to them. By recognizing this, we gain the power to reframe our perceptions and choose responses that empower us, rather than diminish us. Imagine, for instance, a Stoic encountering a rude remark. Instead of reacting with anger, they might pause and recognize that the other person's words are likely a reflection of their own internal struggles, rather than a personal attack. This shift in perspective allows the Stoic to respond with compassion or even indifference, rather than being drawn into a cycle of negativity. The power of choice in responses is not about suppressing emotions or denying their validity. It is about acknowledging them, understanding their origins, and then consciously deciding how to act. It is about cultivating the mental discipline to pause, to breathe, and to ask ourselves, what is the most constructive and virtuous response in this situation? By practicing this Stoic principle, we gradually develop a greater sense of self-mastery and emotional resilience. We become less reactive and more intentional in our actions, guided by our values and wisdom rather than fleeting impulses. We cultivate the inner strength to navigate life's inevitable challenges with grace, dignity, and a steadfast commitment to living a fulfilling and meaningful life. 7. Pause before responding. The practice of pausing before responding emerges as a thread of profound significance. It's a simple yet potent act that creates a crucial buffer between the raw intensity of emotion and the considered articulation of a response. This pause, this momentary suspension of reactivity, allows the rational mind to step onto the stage, transforming a knee-jerk reaction into a thoughtful, measured action. Picture this. You're in a heated debate, emotions running high. Your opponent delivers a cutting remark, and a surge of anger courses through you. In that split second, the urge to retaliate, to match their aggression with your own, is overwhelming. But what if, instead of succumbing to that impulse, you pause? You take a deep breath, count to 10, or simply step back for a moment. In that brief interlude, the flames of anger begin to subside, replaced by a flicker of reason. This is the transformative power of the pause. It doesn't deny the existence of emotions. It simply creates space for them to be acknowledged and processed, rather than dictate our actions. It's in this space that the Stoic principles of self-control and wisdom find their footing. Consider the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This wisdom encapsulates the essence of pausing before responding. It's about cultivating a mindful presence, where we actively listen and observe before we engage. It's about recognizing that our initial emotional response may not always be the most accurate or helpful one. The Stoics understood that our emotions, while natural and often powerful, can also be misleading. Anger, fear, and even joy can cloud our judgment and lead us to act in ways that we later regret. By pausing before responding, we give ourselves the opportunity to see beyond the immediate emotional fog and access the clarity of our rational minds. The benefits of pausing before responding are manifold. It can prevent us from saying or doing things we regret, improve our relationships, and enhance our decision-making abilities. It can also lead to a greater sense of inner peace and self-mastery, as we learn to navigate the turbulent waters of our emotions with grace and wisdom. In the context of Stoicism, this practice aligns beautifully with the core tenets of the philosophy. It echoes the Stoic emphasis on self-discipline, the ability to control our thoughts and actions in accordance with reason and virtue. It also reflects the Stoic acceptance of what we cannot control, namely the external events and the emotions they trigger, while focusing on what we can control, namely our own responses. Incorporating the practice of pausing before responding into your daily life can be transformative. Start small, perhaps by taking a few deep breaths before replying to a challenging email or engaging in a difficult conversation. As you become more comfortable with the practice, you can extend it to other areas of your life. Remember, the pause is not a sign of weakness or indecision. It's a testament to your strength and wisdom. It's a conscious choice to engage with the world from a place of clarity and intention, rather than reacting impulsively. It's a bridge between the fleeting nature of emotions and the enduring power of reason. 8. Cognitive reframing. Have you ever felt like your emotions were a runaway train hurtling down a track with no brakes? Anger, anxiety, sadness. These powerful feelings can hijack our minds, leaving us feeling powerless and overwhelmed. But what if there was a way to regain control, to shift the trajectory of our emotional responses? That's where the Stoic practice of cognitive reframing comes in. It's like having a remote control for your mind, allowing you to change the channel on your emotional state. In today's fast-paced world, emotional triggers lurk around every corner. From traffic jams to work deadlines, social media comparisons to personal setbacks, it's easy to get caught up in a whirlwind of negativity. Cognitive reframing acts as a compass, guiding you back to a place of calm amidst the storm. It's about recognizing that our emotions aren't solely determined by external events, but rather by our interpretation of those events. Imagine this: you're rushing to an important meeting when someone cuts you off in traffic. Your immediate reaction might be anger, frustration, maybe even a few choice words muttered under your breath. But what if, instead of assuming the worst, you paused and considered other possibilities? Perhaps the driver is rushing to the hospital, or maybe they're simply having a bad day. By reframing the situation, you open yourself up to empathy and understanding, diffusing the intensity of your emotional response. This isn't about denying or suppressing your emotions. It's about choosing how you respond to them. It's about recognizing that you have the power to change the narrative, to shift your perspective from one of victimhood to one of empowerment. The beauty of cognitive reframing lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require years of therapy or complex techniques. It's a practice you can start implementing today. The next time you find yourself triggered by a situation, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is there another way to look at this? What assumptions am I making? Can I find a more positive or empowering interpretation? Let's take another example. You receive a critical email from your boss. Your initial reaction might be defensiveness, anxiety, or even self-doubt. But what if you reframe this as an opportunity for growth? Perhaps the feedback highlights areas where you can improve, or maybe it's a chance to clarify expectations and strengthen your communication with your boss. By shifting your perspective, you transform a potentially negative experience into a valuable learning opportunity. Remember, cognitive reframing isn't about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring legitimate concerns. It's about cultivating a mindset of resilience and adaptability. It's about recognizing that you have the power to choose your response, even in challenging situations. As you practice cognitive reframing, you'll notice a profound shift in your emotional landscape. You'll become less reactive, more centered, and better equipped to navigate life's ups and downs. You'll find that you have more control over your emotions and that your emotions no longer control you. The Stoics believed that true freedom lies in mastering our own minds. By practicing cognitive reframing, you're taking a powerful step towards that freedom. You're reclaiming your emotional autonomy, choosing peace over reactivity, and cultivating a mindset of resilience and empowerment. So the next time you find yourself triggered, remember, you have the power to change the channel. Choose wisely. 9. Values-based decision-making. Picture this. You're offered a dream job, one that promises prestige, wealth, and recognition. But there's a catch. It requires compromising your ethical standards. The allure is strong, the temptation real. In moments like these, our emotions can become a tempest, clouding our judgment and leading us astray. The Stoics, however, offer a beacon of clarity in such turbulent times. The practice of values-based decision-making. We live in an era of fleeting trends and instant gratification, where our desires and impulses often dictate our choices. But the Stoics remind us that true fulfillment lies not in chasing ephemeral pleasures, but in aligning our actions with our deepest values. It's about navigating life with a moral compass, steadfastly pointing towards the principles that define us. This compass isn't swayed by the winds of emotion or the tides of circumstance. It's a constant reminder of who we are and what we stand for. Isn't it ironic how our most impulsive decisions often lead to our deepest regrets? When we act in the heat of the moment, driven by anger, fear, or even excitement, we risk straying from the path that leads to genuine happiness and fulfillment. Values-based decision-making acts as a safeguard, helping us avoid those pitfalls and make choices that resonate with our deepest convictions. The Stoics believed that true happiness and fulfillment come from living in accordance with nature, and that means aligning our actions with our rational nature. Our values, those principles we hold dear, are an expression of that rational nature. When we make decisions based on our values, we're not only acting in our own best interest, but also contributing to the greater good. So, what are the core principles that define you? Are they honesty, integrity, compassion, courage? Take a moment to reflect on the values that guide your life. Write them down, carry them with you, and let them be your compass in every decision you make. When faced with a choice, big or small, ask yourself, does this align with my values? Will this action lead me closer to the person I want to be? For instance, imagine you witness a colleague taking credit for your work. Anger and resentment might well up, urging you to confront them publicly. But if one of your core values is forgiveness, you might choose a different path. Perhaps you address the situation privately, offering your colleague a chance to explain and make amends. By acting in accordance with your values, you maintain your integrity and foster a more positive work environment. Values-based decision-making isn't about being rigid or inflexible. It's about having a clear sense of direction, a guiding light that helps you navigate life's complexities. It's about recognizing that while emotions are a natural part of the human experience, they shouldn't be the sole driver of our choices. By practicing values-based decision-making, you're taking a powerful step towards that freedom. You're choosing to live a life of authenticity, purpose, and unwavering integrity. So the next time you're faced with a decision, big or small, remember, your values are your compass. Let them guide you towards a life well lived. 10. Emotional acceptance and mindfulness. In the whirlwind of modern life, where pressures mount and emotions surge, finding inner peace can often feel like an elusive dream. We're constantly bombarded with stimuli that trigger a cascade of feelings, from the stress of work deadlines to the complexities of relationships, to the unexpected twists and turns that life throws our way. It's easy to get swept away by these emotional currents, leading to impulsive reactions and regrets. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that has stood the test of time, offers a guiding light in navigating this turbulent emotional landscape. It teaches us that the key to tranquility lies not in controlling external events, but in mastering our internal responses. By accepting our emotions without judgment and cultivating mindfulness, we can break free from the chains of reactivity and find serenity amidst the chaos. At its core, Stoicism advocates for the acceptance of all emotions, both positive and negative, as an intrinsic part of the human experience. We cannot control the circumstances that befall us, but we can control how we interpret and respond to them. When we stop judging our emotions, we create space for self-understanding. Instead of suppressing or denying negative emotions like sadness, anger, or fear, we allow ourselves to fully experience them. We recognize that these emotions are not inherently good or bad. They are simply signals from our inner selves, providing valuable insights into our needs and desires. Mindfulness, a practice deeply rooted in Stoicism, is a powerful tool for cultivating emotional acceptance. By focusing our attention on the present moment without judgment, we create a gap between ourselves and our thoughts and feelings. We become observers of our own emotional landscape, noticing the ebb and flow of sensations without getting caught up in them. Imagine yourself sitting by a river, watching leaves float downstream. Each leaf represents an emotion. Instead of jumping into the river to try and catch them, you simply observe them as they pass by. Mindfulness allows us to adopt a similar perspective towards our emotions, enabling us to respond with clarity and wisdom rather than react impulsively. Journaling can serve as a valuable companion to mindfulness, providing a safe space to explore and understand our emotional patterns. By recording our daily experiences and the emotions they evoke, we can begin to identify triggers and develop healthier coping mechanisms. We may notice, for instance, that we tend to feel anxious before important presentations or experience sadness when we spend too much time alone. Armed with this self-knowledge, we can proactively manage our emotions and make choices that promote well-being. Embracing emotional acceptance and mindfulness is not an overnight transformation, but a lifelong journey of self-discovery. It requires patience, practice, and a willingness to confront our deepest fears and insecurities. However, the rewards are immeasurable. As we learn to navigate the complexities of our emotional world, we cultivate inner peace, resilience, and the freedom to live a life guided by wisdom and compassion. Remember, you are not alone on this path. Stoicism has guided countless individuals throughout history, and its timeless principles continue to resonate today. Embrace the journey, practice diligently, and you will unlock the boundless potential within you. In closing, consistently practicing these Stoic techniques will strengthen your emotional regulation and resilience. By aligning your responses with reason and values, you cultivate inner stability that enhances your personal relationships and professional life. Mastering your emotional reactions not only boosts your well-being, but also makes you more empathetic and reliable. If you enjoyed this video, please comment with the number 1, share it, and subscribe for more Stoic insights. Thank you for watching.